Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to focus our attention on graphing a quadratic function today. You absolutely will need your graphing calculator for this. So make sure that either have your graphing calculator on your own or you've used the link that I posted earlier this week to download the graphing calculator for your Chromebook. I'm going to use it in my lesson today. You can see it down here at the bottom of the screen. That's the one that I'm going to use. You can get the same exact one. That way makes what we're going to do today so much easier. Otherwise, you have to do a whole bunch of things by hand, and we're not really interested in that. You will need graph paper as well. We are going to be graphing some things today. I provide you the graph paper on your homework. It's already right on the worksheet. You can always print graph paper off the internet too. If you have a printer at home, printablepaper.net is a website you can go to for that, or also post some on my Google Classroom as well. Okay, well, let's get started into today's stuff then. As you can see from the do now, we're going to graph a quadratic function today. We'll be using our graphing calculator to graph and then doing that graph by hand. So we'll be doing both things, using the calculator and doing it by hand with the use of the calculator. Okay, so there's a couple things that we're going to do today, and these are sort of the steps it takes to graph a quadratic. We're going to graph that quadratic y equals negative x squared minus 2x plus 3 in just a moment. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll find the axis of symmetry. We'll actually do that by hand. That way we know what value should be in the middle of our table of points that we're going to graph. Right? We want to make our quadratic look like that U shape. So it's really important that we know what point is in the middle. Then we will get some points on either side of it to create that nice U shape. So we'll find the x symmetry first. We'll use that axis symmetry. We'll go to the table on our calculator to then find values that we can plot. We'll copy the table onto some paper for ourselves, and then we'll graph it. All right. With that in mind, let's see how this is going to look. Okay, so here is the equation or the quadratic function that we're going to graph here. I have my graph paper handy. I have a table that I'm going to create in just a second, but the first thing I need to do is first do the axis of symmetry. That way, we can know what point belongs in the middle of the table. So the axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a. Okay, my b value is negative 2, so negative 2 is like positive 2. A is negative 1, so 2 over negative 1 is negative 2. Okay, so that means in the middle of my table, I'm going to have the value negative 2 for x. Then, so let me get the middle of my table, that's right here. I'm going to choose some points that are above it, negative 1, 0, and 1. And I'll choose some more negative numbers that are below it. So now I know that that's the table that I'm going to use to make my graph. That's what the axis symmetry does for us. It tells us what point will be in the middle of our table. It's also going to be the turning point, if you remember that. Okay, but now here's where we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use our graphing calculator to fill in this table. So I'm going to open up my graphing calculator here. I'll hit y equal to, clear out anything that might already be there. Now I'm going to move this over to here so I can see what the equation is. Now the equation is negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. Okay, now I could look at what a graph of it looks like just so I get an idea. Okay, but really what I want to do is I want to go to the table, second table. And I want to go from negative 5 to 1. Now, mine is already sort of set up that way, if you can see that. But if you notice, hold on a second. Oh, geez, I made a mistake with my axis of symmetry. Darn it. Let me go back and fix that. Nobody caught my mistake. There it is. That should be a -2 times 1 on the bottom. So it's 2 over -2, which is -1. So let me fix those. Sorry about that. -1 is in the middle. -2, -3, -4, 0, 1, and 2. My mistake. Now, let me explain to you how I caught that mistake. I caught that mistake because as I was looking at my, and I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see my mouse. As I was looking at my table, I knew I needed to see repeat values, and that the one value that doesn't repeat right in the middle should be my axis of symmetry, my turning point. And when I saw that -2 wasn't that point, I knew I made a mistake, so I went back and checked it. Okay, so then really we want to go from -4 to 2. So -4 is -5. -3, I remember, was 0. Let me click back. -2 is 3. -1 is 4. And then these values repeat again. That's what gives us that U shape. So, and I can actually pull up the calculator here. You can see them. They're right here. Okay, now that I've stolen the values from the graphing calculator, I'm now just going to go ahead and graph those things. So -4, -5, -3, 0, -2, 3, -1, 4, 0, 3, 1, 0, and 2, -5. And now I have my points that I can connect and create that parabola. And there you have it. Now, you want to label it y equals -x squared minus 2x plus 3. That way, if you ever graph more than one on a coordinate plane, people know which one you're talking about. So label it with the equation. And this has all the characteristics that I would expect. It's got, it's pointing downward because that a value is negative. So that's what makes it go down. The axis of symmetry is -1. So that means that the line of symmetry goes through -1 on the x-axis, which it does. The turning point is -1, 4, which is right here where the graph changes. Good. And someone could ask you, is that a minimum or a maximum? And you would say that that's a maximum value there because it's the highest that the graph ever gets. And then it goes back down. Okay, let's graph one more together. Now this one says graph the following quadratics and find the roots. We're not ready to find the roots yet. That's something different that we'll do at another time. But what I definitely want to do is quickly first, do you find the axis of symmetry so I know which value goes in the center of the table. So -4 over 2 times 2. And it looks like -4 over 4. It looks like -1 again. Okay, just a coincidence. That's going to go in the middle. Choose some more negative numbers below it. Choose some other numbers that are higher than it. And then we're going to go right to our graphing calculator. And let me move this out of the way for us. And let's type in that equation. 2x squared plus 4x plus 3. Again, I can look at the graph. I don't really need to. I'm really focused on what values can I get from the table. And we want to go from -4 to 2. Now look at this. -4 is 19. -3 is 9. Let me go back again. I gotta. -2 is 3. -1 is 1. 3, 9, and 19. Okay, so I can see right off the bat when I go to graph this thing, I'm not going to be able to plot those first 2 points because I don't have room to go up to 19. That's no problem. I still should be able to get that nice U shape from the points that I have left. So let's see, negative 3, 9, negative 2, 3, negative 1, 1, 0, 3, and 1, 9. And yep, I still get that U shape that I can see. And I don't forget to label it. And there we have it. And just a reminder, because it's worth talking about, we have all those characteristics we thought. The axis of symmetry is right here. It goes through negative 1. It's in the middle of our table. The turning point is negative 1, 1. Yep. And in this case, we have a minimum value because it's the lowest that the graph goes before it comes back up. All right, so there it is. Graphing a quadratic by hand using some assistance from the graphing calculator. Good luck practicing it with your homework tonight.